Hey everybody, so I wanted to share my experience with MK677. First of all, I want to say that do your own research. This is just strictly my opinion. So MK677 you can probably find online depending where you are. The cost is not too expensive. It's fairly reasonable for 1 to 2 months supply. I like the vials that come in 25 milligrams per milliliter, and usually there's about 30 milliliters in the vial. And the vial has a measuring, so you can measure from 0.25, 0.5, 0.75, 1 millimeter. And the great thing about this is that you can really be specific on your doses. And when you're starting out with MK677, I highly recommend that you start off with 0.25, then go up to 0.5, and then potentially go up to 0.75, but that's the cap, because the effects of MK677 actually start dropping off the efficiency. You really start getting lower reward for the more that you're taking. So I would recommend the highest amount, the kind of like the peak benefit from it without the cons is definitely around the 0.75 millimeter mark, but it's all up to you and your own body and what your body responds to. I reacted very well to it, especially because I gradually went up week by week. How did it work for me? So basically, I can show you the before and after. I started taking it around the end of April, and May 10th I was 171 pounds, and now on June 28th I'm at 185 pounds. So almost a 15-pound increase, and that's 9 weeks. So I increased dramatically my 1 rep max. It's been a huge beneficial factor for me, especially if you're a bit harder on the bulking, and it's a little bit more tough for you to bulk. And by the way, there's a lot of other great benefits to it, because again, it's not just like this a fat that I put on. Yes, there is some extra water weight, so your muscles look a bit softer. For example, your muscles look a bit softer. It's not when you cut, then it's going to look way better because you put on good size. Now, the recovery aspect of it is great. Indirectly affects your growth hormone and helps you recover and heal and grow at a much better rate than you would without it. Based on AI research I did, 100% is normal, 150% with MK677 when you're bulking, and then you can go up to 400% on steroids or something. I don't know, these numbers are just completely made up by Grok, but I felt a really big difference. I felt very huge boost to my workouts. Great, size. I put on really good size really fast and stopped when I noticed that I'm getting a little bit fat. I really exceeded my PRs. I broke the two plates, 1 rep max, well broke it. Before I was not able to. Now I can do probably 2 plates and 25 on each side. So it's 45, and a 25 on each side with the barbell. Can you do it without it? Absolutely. But if you want to, break through, have a little bit of help, I think that it's great. I think that it's, great for me. Now, is it great for you? Again, like I said, this is up to your own decision, and no way am I recommending you to just go out and go crazy with it. In terms of like a cheat code, it's probably one of the better ones. I rank it like a better version of creatine because it gave me more mass and size because of the water retention. But in addition to that, it helps you eat better and recover better. Now, for the cons, obviously the biggest con, as you probably know, is the insulin. So if you're insulin sensitive, let's say you have in your family line diabetes, you want to be very careful about the insulin sensitivity because it can increase your insulin. One thing you can do is just get a simple blood measuring glucose monitor. I would say just to play it extra safe. If your dad has one or something like that, you can measure your glucose. You don't want to go over a certain amount and head towards diabetes without knowing it, especially when you're on MK677 because it increases your appetite quite a bit. You want to be careful about what you're eating because you might start eating a lot more sugar, a lot more junk food, whatever you can get into your system. If you're not doing it super clean. I mean, hopefully you're not dirty bulking all the way and you're kind of having a good balance of mostly clean and some dirty, but the more you eat, the harder it is to eat, and you're going to start to want to get some of these sugary foods like cheesecake, etc., to get extra calories. And again, the insulin sensitivity plays a role here because now it's extra, you got to be extra careful on that. So that's number one. Number two, and sorry for the temporary change in lighting here, is puffiness. So a lot of people would get really what they call a moon face, a really puffy face, They would get puffy, swollen ankles or puffy, swollen wrists. I thankfully did not really have any of that because of the water retention. People retain more water and they get all this extra puffiness. Again, I didn't get that that it was a problem for me. Maybe my cheeks got a little bit more swollen, but that could also be because of the added weight that I put on from all the carbs and the caloric surplus that I was in. But other than that, I did not have any issues whatsoever with puffiness. Number 3 is tingling, because people get all the water retention around the wrists and stuff like that. People apparently get tingly hands and they lose sense of feeling in their hands. Now, I did feel this the first day, but I did not feel it at all for the next 60 plus days that I was on MK677. So for me, it was really a non-issue. However, some people do report this problem. Number 4 is that people sometimes report that they get anxiety or they felt mentally unwell. I read this one Reddit thread where someone said that it was one of the worst experiences. They had like severe panic attacks. I was slightly concerned about it, but I had no issues whatsoever. I didn't feel any mental concerns at all. And in fact, I got better sleep and better recovery, so I think I felt even better. Now, when do I take MK677? I try taking it at night before I go to sleep, and it does help with your sleep. However, I noticed that I would go to bed a little bit hungry because I don't fall asleep right off the bat, and so it took me a little bit of time to get used to that, but I didn't really all the way. That's why I switched to mornings, because in the morning I'm never really hungry. So I take it and within 20 minutes to a half hour I start eating, and I get like a boost of hunger in the morning, which I find is very, very useful to hitting my goals. So, you can make your own decision about it, how you feel about it, and let me know in the comments.